Hello friends, today we will discuss about the dental amalgam part 2. We will we have discussed previously in the previous videos that what is an amalgam. Amalgam is a restoration material which is a colored filling material which is composed of the mercury and the alloys. Now we will discuss about the cavity designs in the amalgam. For the amalgam restoration, amalgam has no intrinsic ability to bond to the amalgam and the dentine. Therefore, cavity have to be used which are undercuts wider cavity in order to retain the material mechanically. Cavity should not be wider than incompatible with the removal of the caries, removal from the dentine, removal of any unsupported enamels, and adequate access to pack the amalgam into the cavity. All internal angles should be rounded to minimize the internal stresses within the restoration. The floor of the cavity should be flat to permit concentration of the amalgam. Canvas surface angle of 90 degree is desirable. Mattress. If an external wall of the tooth is pierced by a cavity, a steel matrix band need to be applied to the tooth to provide a surface against which the amalgam can be condensed, like in class 2 cavity, GV Black class 2 proximal caries. The matrix should form the external wall of the cavity, adapt very closely to the gingival margin of the cavity to prevent the production of ledges of amalgam outside the cavity during the packing. The manipulation of the amalgam involves the following sequence of the events. And first we have proportions, number 2 dispensing, titration, condensation, carving and polishing. Proportioning. Alloy mercury ratio vary from between 5 to 5 ratio 8 and 10 ratio 8. These mixtures containing greater quantities of mercury are wetters and generally used with hand mixing. Those mixes containing smaller quantity of mercury are drier and are generally used with mechanical mixing. For optimal properties, the final set amalgam should contain less than 50% of mercury. For optimum final mercury content ranges from an average of 45% for Lethbridge material to an average of 40% for spherical material. Dispensing. The most accurate method is to wet the mercury and alloy components using a balance. Both are commonly proportioned using a volume dispensers. The simpler type of the volume dispenser consists of a glass bottles in a plastic screw top cap. The, the cap has a spring-loaded plungers which release a non-volume of either mercury or alloy when dispersed. An alternate methods of dispensations for the alloys is pre-proportioned powder particles and are compressed together. Mixing involves either the content of the one envelopes or one tablet with a given volume of mercury. The most commonly used methods of dispensation involve the use of semi-automatic dispensers, which also carry out the mixing or titration. These devices have two hoppers. One is filled with the alloy and the other with the mercury. The alloy mercury ratio can be set by the operators and required amount of the each component is released into a mixing chamber on a throw of a switch or press the button. Another convenient methods of dispensation include the use of encapsulated material. Each capsules contain both mercury and alloys in proper proportions which have been determined by the manufacturers. The two components are initially separated by an impermeable membrane which is rarely shattered using a purpose-built capsule press or starting to vibrate the capsule in a mechanical mixer. Capsules which do not require the use of press are called self-activating capsule titration. The mixing or titration of the amalgams may be carried out by the hand using a mortar and pistols, or in electrically powder machines, which vibrate the capsule containing the mercury and alloy. Titration by the hand. For hand titration, a glass mortar or pistol with a roughened surface are normally used. A low alloy mercury ratio around 5 to ratio 8 is often required to produce a workable mix. The titration time may have an effect on the properties of a final set amalgams. Some products require at least 40-second titration in order to achieve full wetting of the alloy by mercury and optimal properties in the amalgam. Mechanical titration. Following proportionally, the mercury in alloys may be placed in a capsules which is vibrated on a purpose-built machine, the amalgamators. Mechanical mixing is a semi-automatic machines which allow proportions mercury in alloy is possible. The use of encapsulated pre-proportional material is probably the most convenient, although the most expensive option. For all three options, the titration times of 5 to 20 seconds are normal. Advantages of the mechanical titration. A uniform and responsible mix is produced. A shorter titration time can be used. A greater alloy mercury ratio can be used. Condensation. Following titration, the material is packed on or condensed into the prepared cavity. Ultrasonic condensers tend to produce local heating of the amalgam within the detrimental effects, both in terms of mercury vapors release and modification in the setting reaction of the material. The most widely used methods of condensation is within a hand instrument called amalgam condenser. The amalgam is packed in increments, each increment being equivalent to the volume of the material which is carried in an amalgam gun. Technique for condensations. The technique chosen for the condensation must ensure the following: adequate adaptation of the material to all parts of the cavity base and the wall, good bonding between incremental layers of the amalgam, optimum mechanical properties set amalgam by minimizing porosity and achieving a final mercury content of 44 to 48%. Carving. The objective of carving an amalgam restorations are to remove the mercury rich layer of the amalgam surface and to reveal the anatomy of the tooth. Reestablishing contact with the opposing dentitions. Carving should be carried out when the material has reached a certain degree of set. It is carved too soon. If it is carved too soon, there is a danger of dragging out significant amount of material from the surface. Spherical amalgams are easier to carve than the lead cut material, and a fine grained product is easier than the coarse grain. Polishing. Polishing is carried out in order to achieve a lustrous surface having a more acceptance and better corrosion resistance. Thank you very much. Do not stay in bed unless you can make money in the bed. There is a quotations by the George Burns. Reference: John F. McCabe's and Angus W. G. Wells' Applied Dental Material book.